if you want to convert to Orthodox Judaism. This is what my wife and I went through to be able to get to where we are right now. I mean, when you have to sit with the Beit Din, they're going to be able to sift through all of your little games. If you're trying to play some games, they're not stupid. They're going to be able to know whether you're legit or not, right? So, come on now. All right.
For us, it was really big that we started connecting with other Orthodox Jews, right? And so, searching on the internet, that's kind of like how we started from there. That's how we actually found our community. Ladero had, looked up a guy, we always mention him all the time. Shout out to Yehuda Price. We love the Price family, but he was a pivotal person, especially on that journey to really connect us to our community and then to other Jews, right? Other Orthodox Jews, and so I think that's important because then you can ask questions, right? You can get a little bit more understanding. You can start almost feeling a sense of community when you do reach out and connect with other Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, that part is very important. I just remember when we would reach out, we were very, very happy to know that people were willing to answer our questions, to be able to give us perspective. Hey, this is what we're thinking about. This is the journey that we want to go on. What was your mindset going when you first started here? Did you have any challenges? How did you overcome this? And all these different things. Ask questions and talk to people. And we're so grateful because now that we started this YouTube channel, we've been having so many people ask us some of those questions as well. And so it's just a complete honor to be able to kind of let that kind of go around in full circle.
Yeah.
And we were once there, and so now we can be that for other people. And we're happy to do it. We love answering questions, which is why we do videos like this, so that you guys can be able to have a resource to be able to say, hey, right, these are a lot of the questions that I'm having. This is a couple that's going through it. They went through it. Here they are. Boom.
I was going to say that's exactly how our channel, the whole conversion came about of us doing, content, because there was times where we were looking more on the internet and we didn't get to see on this level. Like, we want to be able to really help the person who is going through a conversion process, who is really thinking about all the things that it entails and might not have had those questions answered. And we want to be that, right? We want to be able to help somebody in that.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool to, like you said, come back around full circle.
Yeah. Talk to people who have converted and talk to people who are converting.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
That's going to be very, very key for you. But like she mentioned, you're going to, as you start to do that, you're going to start finding a little community. And I think that's important. I mean, we've been invited into communities. We've built communities, on this journey as well. And so I think it's very, very healthy, because listen to me, when you decide that you want to go on this journey, it's going to be a lot of times where you feel like you're lonely. You're going to feel like that, hey, nobody else thinks like me. I'm different. Some people lose friends. I don't want to say that's you, right? I don't want you to lose friends. But
it's the reality.
But it happens, right? You may lose friends. You may have family members who turn their back on you. I mean, we've had it, right? We've had family members that say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And they don't call us or anything like that, right? And so you may have that. So that's another thing. You have to really, really think about, like, am I going to be able to deal, like, can I handle this? Am I willing to go through this and deal with all of these different emotions and all these different things? And my point for saying all that is, this is why community is so important. This is why connecting with other people is going to be so important for you on this journey. That's why it's called a ger.
Yes.
That's why it's called a ger, right? A stranger, a sojourner, right? You have to really understand what's going on there. It's very important.
Yeah, and I'm so happy he mentioned the ger, because I was about to come in with that and say, you have to realize how special and how many times the ger is actually mentioned in the Torah, right? It's mentioned a lot.
Yeah.
And, for you to make that decision to become that stranger, like he mentioned, is a huge reward, but it's something that you cannot take lightly either, because you have to think about all of the changes that you have to make, that a person that was born Jewish did not have to make all of those decisions,
right,
or have to make all those
yep,
changes. So there's something very special about the ger. Choose to, go through a conversion process of becoming an Orthodox Jew. You have to understand the changes that are going to happen,
yeah,
and how important that is. But that, I don't want people to think of like it as a negative. I think that when you make that decision, you've already had the desire, and you already know that you're going to make these changes.
yep,
Like Ladero and I, when we decided like we're going to go through this process, we knew it's going to come with a lot of changes. And I don't even like to say sacrifices, but if you want to put it in that way, yes, there's going to be sacrifices.
yeah,
And we want to list some of those things. So you have to be prepared for some of these changes that you're going to have to, face or think about, right?
absolutely.
And some of them are like what? Figuring out a job.
Yeah.
Figuring out a new job, especially if you're moving to a different community. Say you live somewhere that is not a Jewish community, for example, that was our situation. We lived 2.5 hours from where we are right now, pretty much. And we didn't have really a really strong Jewish community at the
Right.
time where we were at. So we had to make that choice of, wow, we're gonna have to move, uproot our kids.
Yeah.
Baruch Hashem that our kids did not go to public school or anything yet. They were homeschooled. So it wasn't like they had to but they still had friends, where we were at, but it wasn't as challenging. And so that's things that you have to consider. Okay, am I willing to move to a community and then have to look for a job in that community?
And I was going to kind of piggyback on what she said about schooling. Our kids were homeschooled, so it was kind of an easy pick up and go kind of thing. Some people's kids are in public schools. So you have to really consider, like, okay, well, do I uproot them out of this situation right now? Like, when is the best time to do it? And so you have to consider, right? And I think, sometimes some of the challenges are when you have older kids. When you have older kids, they've already experienced a lot of life. So there's connections with relationships. There's connections with environments and habits, things like that. So some people have a little bit more challenges when you got older kids, because you're dealing with a lot. It's a lot of layers to this thing, right? And so, but when it comes down to the job thing, you have to plan it out. You have to plan it out, right? You have to make sure also you're considering the financial aspect of this whole entire thing, right? With relocation of your family, with maybe higher rent, right? Our rent was higher when we moved into this community. It was a lot higher than where we were. So you have to think about it, right? Some people have to get an extra job, right? And so again, it's a lot to consider, right? What expenses am I going to incur on this journey? I'm studying now. There's a lot, right? This video isn't to talk exactly about that, but just to kind of give you a picture. You got to think about a lot of things.
But I want to encourage you guys as well too, is that, when you're making a decision like this, I want you to know that how much Hashem respects your decision, and how much amuna that you need to have on this journey as well too, right? Because if you are living in a place of fear and doubting and saying, oh, I don't know if we're going to be able to afford to uproot and go into this city where this is the community where I seek for our family, and this is the school that I want to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford, okay, now a Jewish education. You can't think like that. That's not how Jews think. Jews never question could they afford their children's Jewish education, right? You have to understand that Hashem will provide for that, but you have to have that amuna. Please have that amuna, because if we would have second guessed that, we wouldn't have been here.
We'll still be where we were.
We would not be in our community if we were like this, and this. And sometimes, guys, it's not going to even make sense financially. It might not make sense financially, but when you do it, watch how Hashem just works in your life and things change and shifts for you.
It didn't make sense in our family. Right, and I think, and one day we'll do a video,
Yes.
and talk about exacts, and maybe we'll even write a book. We'll write a book. I think
we're gonna write a book.
I think we're gonna write a book, and we're gonna we got a lot to talk about, and so that's coming Mizrat Hashem in the future. But I do think we should do a video where we're talking about I guess, the Amuna side of things and the trust and the bitachon that we had during this whole journey, how that really, really got us through, right? We're talking about just steps, right? Going through some of the logistics, but I think we should do another one. Let us know in the comments if you guys think that would be helpful to just really talk about maybe just the, again, the spiritual side of things, the mindset, that trust in Hashem. How did we develop that to be able to get to the point to where we are right now? Let us know if you want us to do that.
Yeah.
So found a job, finding an Orthodox community. So you got to search, and I think for us, I mean, I mean for us, it was, I don't want to say it was easy, but
it was kind of almost working itself out, because I was already looking in the area that we moved into to already consider moving to that place. And then here he finds Yehuda Price, and he sees, under his name, wow, he's in this city that we are actually considering, that I was strongly considering. And so it just kind of made sense and stuff. Again, I feel like that's Hashem's way of saying, okay, you're acting on something. Let me now put my steps forward and show you like you're making the right decisions, right? Yeah. And so definitely finding an Orthodox community is important. Visiting, that area is important as well too, as well as this is one of our other things is, looking into, like we mentioned, a Jewish education for your kids, right? So you're going to want to visit those schools. You're going to want to, there might be multiple.
Yeah.
Right. And so you want to see what is best fit for our children, right? Where do you think they're going to feel, more comfortable if there is multiple, and what makes sense location wise as well too.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the community, excuse me, when it comes to the community, I think you're going to have to really make those connections too, because you can't just show up in the community and then pop up in somebody's shul without knowing anybody. You know what I mean? Right? Because you get to the gate. First of all, it's going to be a gate, right? And so if you're just coming in unannounced, that ain't going to have a security going to stop you at the door. You know what I mean? So, excuse me. You're going to have to make some connections and find out, how can I come visit? Can I go and pray? Right? I mean, most importantly, you're gonna have to get permission from the rabbi, so the rabbi can understand what your purpose is, and they need to know that, because you can't, again, just be a random person. That means anybody can just start coming to a shul like, I just want to sit in the back and just kind of check it out. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen in Orthodox shuls, okay? But my point is, connect, and reach out, build relationships, and there are people who are willing to help you. Okay, I've seen messages where people get discouraged and they're like, nobody's willing to help out. And here's the thing: we understand that there's different dynamics in different communities, and we get that, right? But if you're having challenges in a community and maybe you don't feel accepted, I think you should probably just check out another community. Yeah. Because that doesn't represent every single community. Like, we're living witnesses of it, right? Our community is extremely loving. It's open. It's welcoming. We haven't experienced racism. We haven't experienced, any hatred, any side eyes or anything like that. It was just straight open, like, Shabbat Shalom, good to see you, happy, like we didn't get a lot of questions. Like, we didn't really get any questions like, so are you converting? Or like, what's your family background? We ain't get none of that since we've been here, and maybe some of you guys, that sounds odd, but that's the truth. And so my point for saying that is, every community is not a grilling community where they just grill you and then you make you feel weird. You're probably going to have to just look and find another community. Now, we know that's a little bit easier said than done,